Hello guys, welcome to the knowledge domain, the concept of life sciences and biotechnology. In this lecture series, we are going to learn the excretion in case of the human. So before going into the topic, we should know what is the function of the kidneys. As we know that kidney is responsible in filtering the blood, and main function of the kidney is filtration of the nitrogenous waste and its excretion. Along with it, the following are the other functions of the kidney that we should be aware of, like the regulation of the water and the electrolyte balance, then body fluid osmolarity and the electrolyte concentration in the plasma maintenance, regulation of the arterial pressure, acid-base balance, and by the secretion of the erythropoietin, the erythrocyte products, and secretion, metabolism, and excretion of the hormones, as well as the gluconeogenesis. So this is the general organization of the urinary system and the kidney. So kidney is found in the abdomen outside the peritoneum cavity on the back of the body. It is the size of a human clenched fist and it looks like a bean. And this is the concave part which is called the hilum, where there is the origin of the ureter through the urine that is found in the kidney passes to the bladder where it is stored, and the release of the urine is voluntary. And this is the kidney. It has two portions. One is the cortex, that is the outer part, and outside the cortex, the capsule of the kidney that protects the kidney. And in the medulla, you can see there is the pyramid-like structure. This is called the renal pyramid. Its number is around 8 to 10 per kidney. And in the renal pyramid, whatever the urine is formed, that is released into the papilla, then to the minor calyx, then to the major calyx, and finally to the renal pelvis. And from the renal pelvis, the urine passes to the ureter. So how the blood is supplied to the kidney. So this is the renal artery. So from the renal artery, it is branched into the interlobular arteries. From the interlobular arteries, there is the arcuate arteries. And from the arcuate arteries, you can see the interlobular arteries. So this is the interlobar arteries, and this is the interlobular arteries. And from here, you have the afferent arteriole. And from the afferent arteriole, it results in the capillaries in the Bowman capsule. This is called the glomerulus. And that leads to the efferent arterioles. And after that, it further branch and it is called the peritubular capillaries. And in case of the juxtamedullary nephrons, that means the loop of Henle. This is the loop of Henle, and that is very deep in the medulla. And in that case, this is called the vasa recta. And like the artery is branching, rebranching itself. So from this vasa recta, the peritubular capillary, the blood is drained into the vein. This is the vein, and from the vein, it is going into the interlobular or the radial vein. This is the interlobular or the radial vein. Then to the arcuate vein. From the arcuate vein, interlobar vein. This is the interlobar vein, the blue one. And after that, this is the renal vein. So blood is supplied to the kidney, and it is it floats all mean the glomerulus and the loop of Henle as well as the proximal and the distal convoluted tubules, and finally the blood is drained into the renal vein. And this is the how the blood is filtered in the Bowman capsule or the glomerulus. So here, one thing we need to discuss that this Bowman capsule, whatever filter is coming here, there is the proximal convoluted tubule that results in the descending loop of Henle, ascending loop of Henle, then distal convoluted tubule, then there is a collecting duct or the cortical collecting tubule, then there is a collecting duct, and this collecting duct it ends in the minor calyx of the medulla. So this is the way the filtrate from the glomerulus that moves into the ureter, means for the pelvis, then to the ureter. So in this Bowman capsule, how the blood plasma is filtered, that is discussed here. So the hydrostatic pressure is the amount of the blood or the plasma present that results in a pressure that is almost 60 millimeter mercury, and the colloid, the various molecules present like the protein molecules, small molecule, they result in the glomerular osmotic pressure that is 32 millimeter mercury. So hydrostatic pressure, it leads to the means pushing the plasma from the capillary into the Bowman capsule, whereas the colloid osmotic pressure, its role is means taking back or pulling the fluid part from the Bowman capsule into the glomerulus or the capillaries of the glomerulus. So it should be high, 60 Newton, glomerular hydrostatic pressure is high, this is low. And in case of the Bowman's hydrostatic pressure, it is 18 millimeter mercury, so 18 plus 32 equal to 50. So net is almost 10 millimeter mercury through which the blood plasma is filtered into the Bowman capsule. So this is also hydrostatic pressure. So hydrostatic pressure of the Bowman capsule has a tendency of pushing the plasma from the capsule into the capillaries of the glomerulus. So hydrostatic pressure it pushes, and the colloid osmotic pressure it pulls. Okay, so the net filtration is almost 10 millimeter mercury because the colloid osmotic pressure, because no protein is filtered in the, or it is not found in the Bowman capsule. So it's mean the colloid osmotic pressure of the Bowman capsule is 0. So glomerular hydrostatic pressure is 60 minus Bowman hydrostatic pressure 18 minus glomerular osmotic pressure 32. So net filtration pressure in the glomerular capillaries is 10 millimeter mercury. Okay. So this is a nephron, as we have discussed. There is the efferent arteriole. This is the glomerulus. Then there is the efferent arteriole, then peritubular capillaries. Here you can see two types of the nephrons. One, most part is present in the cortex. Only the very lower part of the loop of Henle, it is found in the medulla. And in this lecture series, we will discuss the importance of the medulla in the filtration process. Okay, and another is the juxtamedullary nephron that you will find almost at the junction of the medulla and the cortex. So Bowman capsule is definitely found on the cortical side, but most part of the loop of Henle, it is found in the medulla, and there are some instances where the loop of Henle will reach to the tip of the minor calyx. So this is the juxtamedullary nephron, the function is same. So what is the distribution? Cortical nephron is almost 70 to 80% of all the nephrons found. Whereas the juxtamedullary nephron, they constitute almost 20 to 30%. Okay. So in one of the following slide or in the following lecture, we'll discuss the importance of the macula densa, how it regulates the rate of the filtration. Okay. So here we know that there is the proximal tubule, okay, that is just coming out from the glomerulus. Then there is the loop of Henle, then there is a distal tubule, okay. So this distal tubule, when it is moving into the cortical collecting duct and finally to the collecting duct, then this is in close association with the glomerulus or the Bowman capsule, and associated to the efferent and the efferent arteriole are the macula densa cells and they have the ability of sensing the sodium concentration in the distal convoluted tubule. And from this, they determine that whether the rate of filtration should be increased or the rate of filtration should be decreased. Suppose the rate of filtration is slow, so the time it will take the glomerular filtrate to reach the distal convoluted tubule is very long. So if it is a long time, then almost a lot of sodium chloride will be absorbed. So it will find that the rate of filtration is low because the sodium concentration is low in the distal convoluted tubule. So it will send a signal to the afferent arteriole, so that the increase in the hydrostatic pressure will lead to the increase in the filtration rate, so that the sodium concentration will be balanced in the collecting tubule, distal convoluted tubule, as well as the plasma. Okay, then the rate of accretion, as we have discussed in a briefly in the previous slide, it is the glomerular filtration, how it is determined by the hydrostatic pressure and the colloid osmotic pressure discussed earlier. Then the reabsorption of the substances from the renal tubules into the blood, that we will discuss in the following slides, and the secretion of the substances from the blood into the renal tubules. Okay, that is expressed mathematically as urinary excretion rate equal to filtration rate minus reabsorption rate plus secretion rate. So these are the four types of scenario. Here there is only filtration, no reabsorption, no secretion. And in this scenario, the creatine, that is a nitrogenous waste, it does not need to be reabsorbed. So all of them they excreted in the urine. Then here there is a partial reabsorption, like the sodium chloride, bicarbonate, and there is a less reabsorption. Means sodium chloride bicarbonate almost reabsorbed completely. It is not 100%, but a lot of them reabsorb. For there is a 50% reabsorption of the urea, and there are very less reabsorption of the uric acid, urate, and the drugs. Okay, so there is partial reabsorption. Then the filtration is complete, and the complete reabsorption are the amino acids and the glucose. They don't need to be in the urine, so we don't find amino acid and the glucose in the urine in a normal healthy person. And filtration, then these are added, potassium and the hydrogen into the secretion, and organic acids and the bases as well as the drops. Okay. So finally, the plasma volume equal to 3 liters, whereas the glomerular filtration rate equal to 180 liters per day. So the entire plasma can be filtered and processed about 60 times each day. So whatever blood we have, so this entire blood is passing through the kidney 60 times a day. So that it is such a robust system of the filtration. Glomerular filtration is 20% of the renal plasma flow. So whatever blood reaches to the kidney, that 22% of the cardiac output, but this 22%, 20% is the renal plasma that is found in the Bowman capsule. Means 80% do not filter, 20% filtered into the Bowman capsule. So the glomerular filtration rate equal to balance of the hydrostatic and the colloid osmotic force acting into the capillary membrane. We have already discussed, and it depends on the capillary filtration coefficient, which is the Kf, and the product of the permeability and the filtering surface area of the capillaries. Okay, the filtration fraction is equal to glomerular filtration rate by renal plasma flow. So this is the glomerulus. In the glomerulus, we have the capillaries. So in one of the tissue, we have discussed that for a epithelium, there is a basement membrane. But in this capillary, there is another layer of cell that is called the podocytes. Okay, so there are 3 layers of cells. Despite 3 layers of cells, the filtration in the glomerular capillary is very high compared to the other capillary present in the body. So there are 3 layers, one is the basement membrane, endothelium, and the podocytes. And in the podocyte, there are the fenestrae are found. Okay, and there is a slit pores. So these actually increases the rate of the filtration. So this is slightly better explanation. This is the endothelium, the epithelium of the capillary or the blood vessel. Then there is the basement membrane, which is also called the basal lamina in case of the epithelium. And this is the epithelium of this Bowman capsule. So in this epithelium, you can see there is a slit pores. Okay. And the fenestrae are found in the endothelium. And these are the how the molecular weight is responsible for the filterability. When the molecular weight is small, it is 100% filterable as the water, sodium, glucose, and the insulin. Filterability is 1. While for the bigger molecule, filterability is very less, 0.005. So the glomerular filtration rate is equal to Kf, the constant into the net filtration pressure. So whatever we have discussed earlier, that we are going to discuss here in detail. Pg, that is the glomerular hydrostatic pressure. Pv, that is the glomerular colloid osmotic pressure. Then the pi g, it is the Bowman capsule osmotic pressure. The pi v, the pi g is the glomerular hydrostatic pressure, and the pi b is the glomerular osmotic pressure. So that is 0. We have discussed earlier also. So Kf into Pg minus this is the osmotic pressure of the glomerulus, and this is the hydrostatic pressure of the Bowman capsule, and this is 0. So this is 10 millimeter mercury that we have already discussed. Then how the physical determinant determines the Kf, the constant, means if it is less, GFR is less, so renal disease, diabetes, mellitus. So if the PB is the high, also the GFR is less, because this is the negative, it means it is opposing the filtration. So there is a urinary tract obstruction, that's why the hydrostatic pressure of the Bowman capsule is high. Then osmotic pressure of the Bowman capsule. Osmotic pressure of the Bowman capsule is high. This is the pipe. This is the hydrostatic pressure of the Bowman capsule is high, so GFR is low, renal blood flow is low. That's why this is the situation. And when the osmotic pressure, the PG, the hydrostatic pressure of the glomerular capillary, that is low, when GFR is low. So these are the situation. And these are the various hormones like the norepinephrine, epinephrine, endothelin, they all decreases the GFR. Whereas the nitric oxide and the prostaglandin, they increases the GFR. So the regulation of the rate of glomerular filtration that we are already discussing, that is sensed by the medulla densa based on the sodium concentration. So this is the arterial pressure, and glomerular hydrostatic pressure is decreasing, so GFR is decreasing. So if the GFR is decreasing in the medulla densa cells, there will be less sodium. So when there will be the less sodium, there will be the secretion of the renin concentration will increase. Angiotensin 2 will become means active, and after that the efferent arterial resistance means this efferent, if its resistance will increase, means the net difference in the pressure of the efferent and the efferent will be more, so GFR will increase. So this will negatively regulate the decrease in the GFR, so the glomerular filtration will increase. So one is based on the sodium concentration, and it is hormonal angiotensin 2, and another is the efferent arterial resistance will decrease. So this resistance will decrease, so more blood will flow, and if there will be more blood will flow, there will be more glomerular filtration. So one is to the angiotensin, that is by increasing the resistance of the efferent. Another is by decreasing resistance of the efferent. So angiotensin 2 means it increases the efferent resistance. Like this, they increase the net pressure, glomerular filtration pressure in the Bowman capsule. So what is one, we know that whatever substance that is present in the plasma, except the proteins, all of them are secreted into the Bowman capsule, that is called the glomerular filtrate, and urine excretion equal to glomerular filtrate minus tubular reabsorption plus tubular secretion. So except proteins, everything, whatever is present in the plasma minus plasma proteins equal to the glomerular filtrate. Okay, so sodium is present. So this is the sodium concentration in the tubule, proximal tubule, 140 milliequivalent per liter. So sodium is high here. So sodium will go into the tubular epithelial cells. So by two ways, sodium is going to the peritubular capillaries, to the paracellular cells. Okay, and another is sodium is going into the tubular epithelium. Then by the sodium potassium ATPase on the basolateral membrane. This is the active transport system. The sodium is pushed into the interstitial space or the medullary space, then into the peritubular capillaries. Okay, and it is also the sodium is pushed into the paracellular space, and then it is moving into the peritubular capillaries, and this is the medulla. Okay, and this is the apical site which is found in the tubular lumen cell. So this is for the sodium. So for the potassium, this is going into the, means this is for the maintenance of the potassium concentration in the tubular epithelium. So the other substances like the glucose. So there is a sodium glucose import. This is secondary active transport because sodium is moving along the concentration gradient. So this is being co-transported glucose. And after that, because glucose concentration is high here, so glucose is easily moving into the peritubular capillaries. Then the sodium by the sodium potassium ATPase. Similarly, sodium also co-transport amino acids, and amino acids on the basolateral membrane side, it is moving into the space, the medullary space, then to the peritubular capillaries. So how from the medullary space, the solutes are moving into the peritubular capillary by the ultrafiltration. What is ultrafiltration? It is the hydrostatic and the colloid osmotic pressure gradient. So hydrostatic pressure is high in the medulla and low in the peritubular capillaries. Or it can, and this is the proton is secreted by the sodium proton exchange into the tubular lumen. So it is acidic. The urine is slightly acidic. And there are substances that also transported along with the solvents because there is a huge flow of the water from the tubular lumen into the peritubular capillaries. So along with the water, there is the movement of the some solvents, and it is called the solvent drive. Okay. So this is a simplistic explanation of the various substances, how they are secreted and the reabsorbed in the various parts of the nephron. So this is the glomerular filtrate, this is the proximal convoluted tubule. Sodium chloride is going out, we have discussed earlier. Water is going out because it is permeable to water, as well as the urea is going out. And the here it is 300 osmotic pressure, the proximal convoluted tubule. Then this is the descending loop of Henle, ascending loop of Henle. So in the descending loop of Henle, you see mostly it is the water, there is no other solutes. And this is the ascending loop of Henle, which is impermeable to water. So here you don't see any any movement of the water from the tubule into the medulla. So it is only the sodium chloride. Okay, only sodium chloride. Whereas this is the distal convoluted tubule and the collecting ducts. In this case, it is also impermeable to water, but the water permeability depends on the presence of the ADH here. So what it is very less permeable to water, but the quantity of the ADH determines the quantity of the water reabsorption in the distal convoluted tubule as well as the collecting ducts, as well as the sodium chloride. And in this case, that there is the water reabsorption, sodium reabsorption, as well as the urea reabsorption. Okay, and here you see once you dive down the medulla, with the increase in the distance from the cortex, you can see the osmotic pressure or the osmolarity of the medulla is increasing. So it is becoming more concentrated. Here it is 300 equivalent and milliosmol, or the 300 milliosmol equivalent and 600, and it reaches up to the 1200. So the urea, almost 50% of the urea gets reabsorbed on the distal collecting ducts, and this is the urea through the urea transporter, and urea constitutes 90% of the total nitrogenous waste of our body. And whatever creatine is secreted or it is found in the filtrate, glomerular filtrate, all of them are excreted 100%. So in this one, you can see this is the thin ascending loop, thin descending loop of Henle. This is thin. Here it is only water, and on the thick ascending loop of Henle, sodium, chloride, potassium, calcium, bicarbonate, and the magnesium. And there is the secretion of the H plus in this case. And in summary, so this is the proximal convoluted tubule, the loop of Henle, distal tubule, collecting tubule. So you see glucose, protein, amino acid, whatever we need. And in a normal healthy person, these are not found in the urine. They all get reabsorbed in the proximal convoluted tubule 100%. If you find any of this in the urine, this is a disease situation, or this is a abnormal situation. And the para amino hypuric acid, its absorption increases. The PAH, the creatine, insulin, urea, they all are found more in the glomerular filtrate in the proximal tubule. Okay, the sodium in the loop of Henle, it is secreted more into the tubule, then it is reabsorbed. And finally, whatever sodium and the chloride you find in the urine, that is like the concentration in the plasma. Whereas this is a para amino hypuric acid, a nitrogenous waste, creatine and nitrogenous waste, and these are all excreted 100%. Okay, then inulin is excreted 100%, and the urea we have discussed, it is 50% excreted, 50% stay in the medulla. And the bicarbonate, it is almost reabsorbed 90%. So in the urine, almost there is only 10% of the bicarbonate that is found in the glomerular filtrate is found in the urine. Thank you.